Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So I did a major rework of my Beastman army and showed up at the game store and am facing a Vampire Count's army that I have faced recently. I kind of like it as a build. It doesn't have a lot of the new toys that the new Vampire Count's book has, but it has a lot of flavor that to me really makes it seem distinctly vampire-like with ethereal units and black knights and stuff like that. So we rolled up the dawn attack. Both of us had just really kind of poor luck with rolling where to deploy units. I should say first off that I got a new Ghorgon model and painted him up, and so I wouldn't say the army's themed around him, but since I took out my Minotaurs, I wanted to have something Minotaur-like in there, so that is the Ghorgon. So anyway, starting on my left, you can see he rolled a 2 for both of his big hordes, his skeletons and his ghouls, and he did his skeletons first, so his crypt ghouls were just kind of stuck back in a corner with a piece of impassable terrain right in front of them and another horde right in front of them. I mean, just awful, awful deployment. And it wasn't my opponent's fault. I mean, that's just, you know, those things happen. Like I've said before, it's really tough to remember all the magic items that every character has, especially when somebody brings 6 characters. But his white BSB is tucked up in the left-hand corner. You'll notice that. He's in a previous battle report, I misspoke and said that one of his whites was actually a Cairn Wraith. So anyway, he's got like 3 whites. I take that back. 2 whites, 2 necromancers, 3 necromancers, and a banshee. So just you know, kind of character heavy. But I can tell you that during the magic phase, he is dominant. I can't stop him. Yeah. Anyway, here in the middle, you see he has 2 Black Knight units. One of them has a Banner of Barrows, which makes him especially tough, and a couple Hex Wraith units. And that's it. So starting with mine, I rolled a 1 for 2 of my most important units. So both of us are kind of tucked in the corner, but at the same time we're right across from each other. So it's just kind of funny how that worked out. I've got what in 8th edition seems like a smallish unit of Bestigors on the left. I gave the standard of discipline. I want to give myself the option of sticking my Beastlord in there and have a leadership 10 leadership bubble, or having them on the flanks where they're likely to encounter cavalry and letting them be leadership 8. So that's what I'm doing there. I stuck my Brave Shaman with them. He's level 2. Dispel Scroll, Lore of Beasts, and I gave him the Manbane Sword just in case I go against ethereal units, and of course this unit's nowhere near his Hex Wraiths. So I did bring a 40-man horde of Gore, and in there I've got my BSB. I don't love this build. Basically it gives everybody in the unit a +1 strength, which is awesome, but I don't know how I'm going to keep that guy alive. He just, you know, he's toughness 5, and after that he just doesn't have much of any kind of save. To the left and down off this screen is a Razor Gore, and then to the left barely on this screen is a Razor Gore. I've got a Tuskgore Chariot. There's my Ghorgon. A smallish unit of Gore, and I am giving my Gore 2 hand weapons now that the units are smaller. My Beastlord's in there, so he's not super tricked out, but he's okay. Harpies behind him, Tuskgore Chariot, Centaurs on the right. I have another unit of Gore that's also 24 strong that is in ambush, and then my far right some more Harpies. And so I can tell you right off the bat, I don't know how I'm going to deal with those Hex Wraith units. I only have 2 magical weapons in my whole army. One's in my general, so if he can get in there, fantastic. The other's in my wizard, which is way on the left-hand side of the board. And other than that, I don't know. So I do get the turn to go first. So I charged my general's unit and the chariot and the Razor Gore into the leftmost Hex Wraith unit. And what I was really, really hoping my general would get in there, but if he didn't, I wanted those other units in there, hoping they would at least hold him up for 1 round of combat. If I can hold him up, then I don't care if he wins on his turn. Then on my turn, I'm going to be able to charge with my general's unit. So I failed with the general's unit, failed with the chariot, did make it with the Razor Gore unit. So I was happy enough. I just need that guy to stick around. On the right, I use my Harpies to charge the flank of that Hex Wraith unit, and you know, hoping that works. Here on the left, that piece of ruined building we're treating as dangerous terrain or difficult ground or whatever it's called. So it's not a building. if you march or charge or flee or anything like that, you take dangerous terrain tests. So I go ahead and step up with my horde into that, and I do a swift reform with my Bestigors. I need the Bestigors matched up with his Black Knights. I don't need them monkeying around with, especially with his ghouls, because they will lose to ghouls real quick. So I think I have time before his Black Knights are really in the mix, so moving those guys over. So after combat here, I of course do no wounds on him. He does 2 on me, so he wins combat by 1, and I'm within my general's bubble, so I stick. So I was very, very happy with that. And here on the right, let's see, it looks like he did 1 wound on me. I had a charge and a flank, so I won by 1, and he loses 1 Hex Wraith. And that's really all I can hope for. I'm just hoping to hold him up. I don't really expect my Harpies to win this in the long term, but if I can just hold him up for as long as possible and hopefully whittle him down, I'll be happy enough with that. So Vampire Count's turn 1. He moves up, as you can see. Now the problem with the skeletons and ghouls on the left is they're right at the bubble of being outside of their, or inside of their general's leadership bubble. So as soon as his general, he's in the unit in the middle of the screen to the right, as soon as he gets 12 inches away from them, they can't even charge over there. And that's going to be a long walk to get into the battle. Anyway, he moves up, as you can see. So the Rod of Flaming Death, this is the second time in a row when I face this army this happened. He casts it on my horde in the building. I let it go because I'm thinking D6 strength 6 hits I'm not really worried about. I will have to take a panic test, but my BSB's in there. And I don't know if my general was in 12 inches or not. If not, he was really close. But anyway, I take the damn panic test. I roll an 11, then I roll a 12. So they have to flee. They flee from the source, which is the general's unit top of this, and flee. Once they pass through my Bestigor unit, because they're in horde formation, they're off the table. So that's a horde of gore with extra hand weapons, and my battle standard bearer with the beast banner gone turn 1. And I'm thinking, that's fine. I'm okay with an uphill battle, but this is going to be a tough one from here on out. During his extremely dominant magic phase, he raises up a bunch of zombies. Sorry about the blurry picture, but yeah, they're up here. And over here, very happy. I don't think he did any wounds on my Harpies this time. He tried to reform, by the way, and he can't pass his leadership test because they're leadership like 5. So he's tried it twice. He failed both times. So he did no wounds on me. I still have a flank, so he lost another Hex Wraith. And again, I'm happy enough with how that's turned out. The Hex Wraiths kill my Razor Gore, and I'm perfectly fine with that. He reformed so that when my general's unit charges in, I'll be in their front, and that is fair enough. And we go to Beastman turn 2. So the general's unit charges the Hex Wraiths. Very happy with that. I really think my general can do enough wounds that with the charge and the banner and the ranks, I can pop those guys. Otherwise, I move, as you can see. The big thing with my my Ghorgon, I've been dancing him around a little bit. I couldn't take the chance of his Hex Wraiths being able to march through him. That's why I pulled him back earlier, just in case I missed a charge or something. So there's no rush for him. I don't need him with the Hex Wraiths, obviously. I would like to get him in with the Black Knights, and then any of his infantry units, except for the Crypt Ghouls, because they have poison, and I do not want my Ghorgon going against poison people. My Bestigors are able to move around the difficult terrain, so I'm very happy with where they're at. I'd really like a matchup with his Black Knights with them. And here on the right, I'm bringing this leftmost, or this bottommost unit of Harpies over. I'm hoping they're just going to help slow down the Black Knights for a while. And the Chariot and the Senegors, I'm really the same thing. I'd really just kind of like to use them just to slow down and possibly weaken the Black Knights. My fear is that once the Hex Wraiths beat those Harpies in combat, they're going to start they could really hurt all these units. But again, I just don't know what I can do about them. I have no solution for them on this side of the board. And we go to combat over here, and he does 1 wound on me. I have a flank, so we stick around, and he can't reform again. So, kind of funny. Loving what the Harpies are doing. Over here, we make real short work of the Hex Wraiths. Just do a reform. I know he's going to charge me in the front with those Black Knights. My fear is he might also charge with his general's unit, And if he does that, that's going to be tough because I won't be steadfast. And I don't think I can flee the charge because I think the Black Knights will be able to catch me way too easily. So really, I'm just hoping that the zombies will fail their charge. Another example of my wonderful picture taking, we go to Vampire Count's turn 2, and yes, he does make it with both those units. That's going to be tough. My general's unit's probably going to die. My hope is that my general survives, and then my unit flees. Maybe they'll flee through my Senegors and pop out on the other side. So I'm okay with that. I'm going to focus all my attacks on his characters. We're going to get in a challenge with my general against his white in there, and then I'll have a bunch of attacks going against his general. So yeah. So my general has normally 4 attacks. He has a Sword of Anti-Heroes, and there's 2 characters. So he has 6 attacks, strength 7. They're all going against his white. We get Primal Fury, so I have all 6 of my attacks hit, and when I rolled a wound, I roll 3 ones. So I do 3 wounds on the guy. He has some kind of save. I think it was a 4-up, I'm not sure, but he saves one of them. He takes 2 wounds. That means he's still alive. He has 3 attacks, 2 of them hit my general, and one of them gets Killing Blow, and then I fail my 4-up ward. So I was really disappointed with the Beastlord's performance. So the white's sitting on 2 wounds. His general took 1 wound from all the attacks put on him. All in all, he totally crushed those guys and then ran them down. So I'm down my general, my BSB, a horde of Ghor, and one of my other units of Ghor. I have a unit of Ghor in ambush that for 2 turns hasn't come on. I could really use a little bit of love right now. It is not going well for the Beastmen. So Beastmen turn 3. Yeah, so the best of Ghors go into the flank of the Black Knights, and they're going to make short work of them. I go ahead and take my Ghorgon in just for the fun of it. It'll give him I mean, he takes the risk of taking wounds, but these guys are only strength 4, so it's not going to be easy for him to wound me, and it'll give him an extra frenzy, which might help later. I took my Chariot and my Razor Ghor. I charged them into the Black Knights as well, knowing that if the Bestigors made it, they wouldn't be able to get in there. I don't know why I was thinking that, why they couldn't take a corner or something. Anyway, regardless, that's how it worked out. If you look on the upper right, his Hexwraiths finally did a couple wounds on my Harpies and beat them in combat. The Harpies fled. The one remaining Harpy fled and got away. So on this turn, my Harpies that were here down low charged the flank of his Hexwraith unit. That poor Hexwraith unit's gonna have death by Harpy, and they can't even wound him. So that's what that looks like. And yeah, my Ghor unit decided to come on. I decided just to put him here. I didn't think they could match up with either of his hordes, and so I didn't really see the point of bringing them on the left side of the board. Over here, if they can work in tandem with the Senegors and the Chariot, they can possibly handle that Black Knight unit. And it looks like the Senegor and Chariot's facing the wrong way, but I don't think I'm going to have to deal with the Black Knights anytime soon. So there's the flank charge, and again, I've got a flank and a charge. He's going to get 2 attacks on me, one at strength 5, one at strength 3. So if he doesn't do any wounds on me, I can pop a couple of those Hexwraiths. So there's another picture of this. Obviously, when I was taking pictures, I was very excited about it. And I can't see from the picture, but I put wild form of these guys to make them a little more survivable. I killed at least 1 through combat res, maybe even 2. I don't know. I have 1 guy sticking out, so those Black Knights are going to be able to get the charge there. And that's okay. These guys totally demolish his Black Knights. He was able to do 2 wounds on my Ghorgon. So, you know, in hindsight, that may not have been the best plan going in. But then again, I'm not sure whether or not the Bestigors could have popped 10 of them between wounds and all their static combat res. Maybe. They had a decent chance of it. But again, when I'm trying to get Primal Fury, I'm going Leadership 8 with no reroll. So it's by no means is it a sure thing. Now here, a mistake I made, the Ghorgon should have overrun D6 inches. And I was thinking that somebody was saying that vampire counts, when you beat them by crumbling, you don't overrun. After this turn, we went back and talked about it, and both agreed that probably when you charge, you can't overrun. It's in other terms turns that you don't. So anyway, he would have overrun d6 inches. Probably would have been better for me. Instead, I just turned him over here to help out with the Black Knights. So we do VC turn 3. Black Knights charge the Harpies. Yeah, this zombie unit is getting huge because I can't stop his magic phase. He's storing 2 dice usually into the Black Periapt every turn, and then he's rolling he's getting 10 or 12 dice every turn for 3 turns in a row. I can't stop it. So in addition to growing this unit huge, he's getting a lot of rerolls and stuff like that. So during combat here, I decide just to target all the attacks I can on his characters. So his White King comes in and targets all 3 of his attacks on my level 2 and whiffs them all. I mean, he didn't hit or didn't wound, and I survive it. So then my level 2 goes back with his 1 attack, and he hits, and then he rolls a 6, actually wounds this guy. He fails his ward save, and where my Beastlord couldn't kill the White, my level 2 Brave Shaman does. The other Bestigor's target is General. I take everybody I can on him because he's got that 4-up ward, and we just exactly get 3 wounds on him. So his General dies, his White dies. I don't remember who won combat, but either way, it was close enough that we're basically just all sticking around, and I was very happy with that result. I'm not worried about finishing off these zombies. That's going to happen, but at least, he's going to have to take some tests for his General dying, and those are 2, characters off the board. So over here, so they easily beat and ran down my Harpies. The angle of this picture actually is not quite right. If you looked at center to center from his Black Knight unit to my Harpy, it was actually angled more, and so you'll see in another picture how that angle changes a little bit. Because his General died, his Hex Wraith had to take a leadership test and died, and I love that. I'd love to have that guy off the board. Black Knights didn't take any wounds. I think the zombies took a few more wounds. Neither of the hordes took any wounds from it. And we go to Beastman turn 4. So take the Centaurs and the Chariot into the flank of the zombies. Take the Gore into the flank of his Black Knights, my Ghorgon in the front of him. Yeah, that's about as well as I could have hoped for there. This, I think, should go well. And then I take my Razor Gore and park them so that the Horde can't charge the flank of my Bestigors. So after combat here, the Ghorgon overruns d6 like he should. Yeah, we popped him through combat res. The Ghorgon was an absolute beast in there. He killed a bunch of them. He took at least 1. Yeah, he took 1 wound from them, but he still has 3 wounds remaining, so he's okay. And yeah, so that was nice to get the Black Knights off the board. And the game's getting closer, so after we pop all the zombies here, and this is where we're realizing neither one of us really wants to charge. I don't have enough to really take care of his hordes. But if I get my other unit of Gore and my Ghorgon back in the fray, I might. But my fear here is I was doing a tally in my head, and I think it's either a draw or he's still winning. So I was thinking I might have to do something. So he does not charge my Razor Gore, which was a bummer, because I would have held and just let him offer me a flank or whatever. But anyway, he doesn't charge, he just backs up. Because I think I'm losing, I go ahead and charge in with the Bestigors and both Chariots. This is dangerous terrain, so we have to take a bunch of dangerous terrain tests. I don't think I lose anyone to it, which is just absolutely amazing. The problem here is I really don't think I'm going to pop them all the way. So I don't need to get flank charged by the ghouls. So I charge the Razor Gore into the flank of the ghouls and the Centaur into their front, knowing that I'm going to lose that combat, but hoping that at least one of them would stay. If he doesn't kill all the Centaurs, first of all, it'd probably be a miracle, but they would be stubborn. But they failed to charge anyway. So the Razor Gore goes in the flank. He'll have a charge in the flank. They'll have a banner and 3 ranks. And so, I mean, I'm certainly going to lose that combat. I just need him to stick around. In hindsight, probably what I should have done is just march the Centaurs up and made it so they couldn't charge. Anyway, they killed the Razor Gore to poison attacks really easily. If you look at the combat below, it was kind of bloody both ways. My Chariots helped a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's not really going to help. Now he's going to have his magic phase, which isn't as good as it was, but still good enough. He's probably going to grow some skeletons back. So VC turn 5, he goes into the flank of the Chariot. The only good news I have there is that Chariot already has a wound or 2. and I think he's going to kill it, and that's what I need. That way he only gets 3 wounds for the combat res. Chariot dies. He doesn't get the charge of the flank. Doesn't get to kill all my Bestigors. And, you know, I have at least a chance of sticking around. So VC turn 5, if you look, he has more skeletons. The 3 on my Bestigors mean their strength was reduced by 3. He killed the chariot. This is actually before combat. This is after the shooting phase. His Banshee wanted to howl at my Bestigors, and I argued that the Bestigors weren't touching the Banshee, that the chariot was in front of her, and actually the chariot extended into half of a skeleton model. So she just screamed at the chariot, killed it. So now the ghouls aren't even in the combat. So there's no flank, there's no charge, there's no wounds towards combat res. I offered to let him do a free reform, and he said that you can't, that because the chariot popped outside of combat, there is no combat reform. So he was arguing for my favor. I was arguing for something that benefited him. But he said he just had another game. They researched it, and that's the way it is. So that's after the shooting phase. After combat, yeah, the Bestigors just couldn't hold up to it, so they fled and are sitting like you can see. The chariot fled. We go to Beastman turn 6. The chariot rallies. The Bestigor rally. Other than that, I move my units away because, again, there's only... I don't have enough... I can't bring enough force to bear to actually beat either of those units. So I'm hoping now just to stay alive. So on his turn, he charged both these units in, but the no matter where you put the skeletons, the ghouls couldn't wheel and get in there. So it was just weird how it worked out. I think if the skeletons would have wheeled and come way on the other side, the other ones would have made it. And I don't know if that's legal or if you have to try to split the unit with both the charging units. Not sure how that should have worked. But anyway, he gets out of in here. During the magic phase, he gets the spell off that gives them all an extra attack. And this was absolutely crazy. I actually rolled double 1s for my Primal Fury, but by the time I went to fight, I only had 2 guys left. So he's crushing me in the battle, and I'm okay with that. He could even beat these guys in combat as long as I can get away from them. But I roll for my break test and roll Snake Eyes to end the game. Absolutely crazy. So when you look at the board, it looks like that. I still have the very first unit of Harpies that ran away from the Hex race a long time ago. They never got off the board. So I still have 1 unit of Harpies, a unit of Gore. I still get my Bestigor points. I lost all my characters because the zombies ended up killing my level 2 during combat. Anyway, Senegor and Ghorgon. We add up the points with all the banners, everything else, and there is exactly a 1-point difference in the victory points. So we both had a good laugh about that. Crazy the Bestigors sticking around. If the Bestigors broke like they should have, we had a 50-50 chance of getting away, actually less than that. But if we'd gotten away, the results would have been the same. If we hadn't gotten away, then he would have won the game by, the value of the Bestigors, a couple 100 points or so. So it ended up being a real good game. I was thrilled with the draw after losing my Horde and my BSB and my General so early in the game. I'll take it. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.